Let's talk about legislation.
All right. Let's
Everyone
talk
gets
about
your
politics.
Politics battle.
Later on, we can talk about some religion if you want. So Senator John Hawley is a Republican from Missouri, maybe? What's MO? What's the state MO?
Don't know.
Montana?
Maybe.
I don't know.
UK.
The M's get me every time.
Yeah.
So he's
Google
calling
it.
this thing the Protecting Children from Abusive Games Act, and he's introducing legislation banning manipulative online game features he says can push children to become addicted to technology. Basically, what he's talking about here are loot boxes. It's Montana, Missouri. Chad is not helping.
Chad doesn't know. Missouri, Montana?
So basically, this is legislation that would basically ban loot boxes, or at least restrict children from being able to access them. And this to me is horrifying. And I'll tell you why. Because we've gone through this before, right? In the 90s, there was a lot of legislation in the United States trying to be introduced, trying to protect children from video games. Blood, guts, gore, that kind of stuff. Mortal Kombat was big at the time, and what I don't want to see, what I'd like to see happen here is that the industry itself kind of takes responsibility for this and decides, like, here are the rules governing this stuff, and here's how we are going to protect children. Because once we get government involved, then it's out of the hands of people who actually know what they're talking about, who actually play video games, and it's in the hands of people who, really only have a cursory knowledge of this stuff. And it can get really dangerous, and it can get, it can get real bad for gamers and for game developers. Mm-hmm. So
that's true.
Like, I'm real concerned about this. The ESA put out a statement, which I think is really crazy. I'll read that to you real quick. I lost it. Give me a second, and I'll grab that for you. Here it is. Numerous countries, including Ireland, Germany, Sweden, Denmark, Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom, determined that loot boxes do not constitute gambling. We look forward to sharing with the Senator the tools and information the industry already provides that keeps the control of in-game spending in parents' hands. Parents already have the ability to limit or prohibit in-game purchases with easy-to-use parental controls. So they're basically saying, like, this isn't an issue. You already have the means to control this.
Interesting.
Which to me is kind of, like, we're not going to help you with this.
Like, you go fight that battle. I'm not
Yeah. Yeah. What do you guys think about this?
It's a tough one, honestly, because, like, I don't want my games full of loot boxes. Just straight up. I'd prefer no loot boxes in there, or the ability for people to have pay-to-win aspects of it. But at the same time, I completely agree. If you have a bunch of people in the government controlling things that are completely disconnected from the subject, then it almost certainly is going to make it worse.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought as well. Like, if there was a very specific rule against no RNG loot boxes, of course you can just put in the law, no RNG loot boxes. They don't even know what that means. But just loot boxes where you are just sinking money into it, trying to get that one item from that loot box instead of being able to just purchase it directly.
Yeah.
I think that maybe there could be some kind of rule against that. But just having an overarching rule of no loot boxes could be really dangerous, because then you're looking at who knows what else you're not going to be allowed to put in your games for purchase with them controlling it.
What if the ESA actually, like, got on board with this, and we said, all right, we already have ESA ratings for, who can buy a game, like what age group this game is compatible with. What if you couldn't have a loot box in a game that was not mature rated, right? Or not
interesting
for anybody over the 17 or over, right? Because the one of the concerning things is that loot boxes feel a lot like gambling, right? You put money in, you roll the dice to try and get the stuff you want, and either you get it or you don't, and then you're encouraged to put. It's basically a slot machine, right? It's you put the coin in, you pull the lever, and you see if you got.
It's just not monetary value; it's value in a game for you.
Right, you're not making money, but you're Right, you're getting something out of the pull. Though.
Yeah. Yep.
But so if they just restricted like that kind of in-game behavior to, games that were targeted at a more mature audience, which the ESA already has ratings for, like it seems like
it seems like
that is an easy solution, but one that they don't want to do because they want to target kids.
Yeah, weird.
It's like we don't want to take away Joe Camel because we really want those 6-year-olds smoking. Like, those are our future customers.
Yeah. It's always really difficult. I mean, I definitely agree with you. I think in anywhere in this industry, like having the government just try and strong arm their way in and be like, we've got a great idea, is invariably never going to work, right? Because ultimately, if they don't understand the platform, they're going to try and do some like one size fits all thing that will just be a wider net that invariably catch things that shouldn't be caught. I definitely agree that loot boxes need to be addressed in a different way, but at the same time, it also seems to be one of those kind of crazy things. I mean, it might be a like controversial thing, but it's like a lot of people often they're looking for like reasons to blame things outside their own control. It's like all the stories that used to be on news in the past, where say I don't know, a mother will go and buy her 5-year-old son GTA, and then she'll be like, "This game is not suitable. How dare you sell this game?" And then suddenly the news are like, "Oh, GTA is trying to turn our kids." It's like, well, no, the GTA's got an 18 rating on it. Why are you buying it for your 5-year-old kid? And so although this isn't excusing the fact that some of the predatory loot boxes and the kind of the monetary stuff is bad, but if a lot of these come from my kid just suddenly used my credit card and spent £1,000 on loot boxes, like, well, should you not be watching what your kid does, and should you not be giving him your credit card?
Yeah,
like a lot of these issues a lot of the time just come from parents that are just like, I just left my kid sit on the console all day and so I could go and do what I want to do. Well, there's your problem. Maybe that. So, I mean, obviously, loot boxes are a different problem, but I do feel like some of these issues that do come around are just purely from like these knee-jerk reactions when they could just be parented.
Yeah. Agreed.
In defense of parents, being one, I will say that it's hard to devote 100% of your attention to what your kid is playing all the time. Sometimes you need to cook dinner for the kid, and that might happen in a separate room than where they're playing, right? Or, some of these things happen on, mobile devices or at friends' houses or at school even, if they have access to the internet at school. There's plenty of mobile games or browser-based games that have this kind of stuff to it too.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. Yeah. I suppose, yeah. That's definitely true.
It's just it highlights the fact that it's not like a simple solution to.
Oh, for sure.
It's like it's a complex topic, and there is things as addiction that can get formed around this stuff that people have to deal with from that. And
I mean, what if kind of going to Brian, what you were saying before, like about like the ESA potentially rating them and putting them behind like certain games. What if to another degree, how like if you buy an app, right, and it says like this app includes paid purchases, like it actually calls it out like on the App Store, it will tell you if you. What if they had that on like a video game box where like on the back it'll always say contains violence or contains like strong language. What if it actually had like contains in-game purchases? So then from a parent point of view, if you're buying it for your kid, you'd be like, so there's a chance for my kid to spend some money in this game. So then it means like immediately from like a parent's point of view, they're like, I have to be, because if you bought them say like Mario Odyssey, you're like, well, I can leave them alone. They'll play that. There's no problem. But if you looked at it and it's like, they're playing Call of Duty and it says like, it contains paid purchases, there's a chance that my kid could go and buy something in this game. Suddenly you might think to yourself, well, now they're playing this game. Now I need to use the inbuilt console moderation tools that allow me to restrict this stuff. So maybe that's also part of it. Maybe it helps just to sort of like help inform parents. Because I guess if for some parents, like their kids will spend all the time reading up about the games, and they'll just be like, hey, can you buy me this game? And they're like, sure, I don't know about it, but sure, And then if they don't know that it has the purchase options, then that might also be where the difficulty comes. So potentially just calling it out.
I do see a lot of people saying that ratings don't mean anything. People don't read the box. And it's like, well, at that point, that kind of falls on your own personal.
Yeah, that's on them.
Not taking responsibility. If companies do everything they can to say, hey, look, there's violence in here. Maybe you don't want that for your kid. Hey, there's purchases in here. Maybe you don't want to get that. And then you choose to get it anyway because you don't read the box or you don't read into it. Then there's only so much that the law and game companies can do without making this, like Briar's been saying, this overreaching one size fits all law that who knows what kind of problems.
Yeah, there is a difference between microtransactions and like these loot boxes
There is,
specifically that
yeah.
really those loot
Mm.
boxes are really designed to kind of activate that that drip of that gambling kind of
Yeah.
like excitement where you're they have these like special animations that take a little bit of time, and they might even like kind of roll past some of the best items in the game, and then they kind of slow
Yeah.
down, and as it's slowing down, like you'll see it kind of, oh, am I gonna get the thing I want? No, I didn't get it. Oh man, it was so exciting though, I'm gonna try it again.
It's everything, right?
Mhm.
It's the animations, it's the sounds,
sounds,
it's the colors, it's all of that is created to give you this instant payoff of, ooh, that was exciting watching that thing unfold.
So
Right, I want to do it again, as opposed to like a microtransaction where you just here's a store where they list, here's 7 skins
Right.
for different weapons,
Right.
and each one costs $2, and I'll just pick the one I want.
Yeah, I think direct purchasing obviously is a different subject and is fine so long as it's labeled correctly and all that. The loot box stuff, I guess, why even have a loot box in a game that somebody who's sub 10 years old can even play? Aside from trying to activate that process of trying to make them spend a bunch of money that they don't have.
That's exactly what they're trying to do. I mean, it's designed for that purpose.
So I mean, like when you look at it that way, it's like, in that sense, they really shouldn't have loot boxes for games that somebody who's like, say, 9, 7, 8 years old, something like that. Like they just straight up shouldn't have it because they don't have an income stream to just be generating, to be pulling that RNG box. I mean, it's one thing for parents to be like, oh yeah, you want that skin because you're playing with your friends in Minecraft. Okay, cool. But then to have like a chance at stuff.
Yeah.
In the US, there are laws about how old you can be to, partake in gambling, right?
Right.
You can't walk into a casino as a 7-year-old and let it roll on, the craps board or play, with a one-armed bandit. And I think that what's concerning is that we're putting this gambling-like activity in video games targeted at young children and kind of training their brain to kind of like enjoy and
exactly,
like training them to like that this is a fun and acceptable behavior. Which, I mean, as an adult, you could make your own decision, but as a kid, like you're much more impressionable.
If you're 9 years old, you don't know the consequence of that money that you're spending.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Perfectly said.
What do you guys think about card packs? So I think a lot of us probably grew up in the Pokemon card place, right? Pokemon cards are very much were advertised towards children, and that is a real life loot box
point.
where you pay money and you open this thing to get a random card that might be good or might be bad, and then that kind of goes forward into Magic cards and all those other card games. What do you guys think about real life loot boxes?
This isn't new to Pokemon. This is true for baseball cards going back to the 19.
Yeah.
When did baseball cards start? In the 1920s?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Long time ago.
Does it change that it's tangible
guess,
and you could resell it if you did get something good?
I guess it's the barrier to entry, right? Because I mean, because with that one, if you're a kid, like you go down with your pocket money, you're like, oh, I didn't get the shiny Charizard that I wanted, but I literally have no more coins. Oh well, and you go back home. Whereas I guess even though in these games they need a coin, like sometimes because invariably when you bought your first, and I guess this is how it happens, because invariably when you bought your first loot box, it's like the cards in the system. It's like, oh, I can just press this button again, and like money gets added. And like, so I guess if the kids don't have that logic, they're just like, whoa, I'm just gonna keep pressing this button, and then it's like, yeah, that's how the
even for adults, right? It's like using that's why so many people get into credit card debt, is because it's not tangible money that you're holding in your hand and giving to someone. You're just kind of putting magic money on this magic card, and I get stuff.
Yeah, but
I would look so good in a Ferrari.
The barrier though in the IRL situation is very real though, because the kid's like, can I get this again? And the parent's like, you're 9 years old. You only needed 1 pack. No, I'm not buying you that again.
Yeah.
And then is that point, is the kid actually going to steal the credit card and then give it to the clerk, who's then going to be like, yeah, you look legit. Sure, let's buy this for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, this kind of leads into like Hearthstone, right? Because Hearthstone is that in between of like, it's a card game with card packs, but that entire game is loot boxes. The entire thing, because it works like magic, right? It's very similar. You pay money and you get this pack of cards, and then you get a random amount of cards within there. So does that mean that Hearthstone just can't exist as a game because it's a game that's literally a loot box?
I mean, there is a game there though. Yeah, it's a tough call, man. Like, that's why I think we should be really wary of the government controlling this, because here they come with the broad hammer, as opposed to people who are knowledgeable being able to really kind of snake through these topics and discuss them.
I think it comes down to the ESA rating, like you were talking about. It really needs to be incorporated in that. And if you're making a game that's for kids, you should not have loot boxes in there, just straight up.
And then if you want to have loot boxes, then the age gets bumped up.
Yeah, like that. It seems to be the most sensible thing. And then it's up to the parent's discretion. If the parent let their kid play something that ran up $1,000 in credit card charges, it's not because of the government.